Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of the Superstar Spotlight. I'm your host, Hunter Chambliss. I'm joined by my co host tonight, Dan Skip Allen. How's it going, man?
Hey, I'm pretty good, Hunter. Just glad to be here talking about Steven Spielberg, my second favorite director of all time, and we got a lot to talk about. This man has got a long filmography.
Yes, that indeed he does. So, yes, we're talking about the great Steven Spielberg, one of the most influential directors of all time, in one of my opinions. Um, Definitely has a huge amount of different genres on his uh, filmography, as you said. And we are doing this because we are spotlighting his upcoming movie on December 10th, West Side Story, which I'm super excited for. I love the musical and can't wait to see what his interpretation of this great Broadway play is going to be.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good adaptation of the play, Hunter. I mean, I saw it last Monday, and and it's very, very, very good.
Yeah, now that gets me really excited. So let's go into kind of the spotlight history of Mr. Steven Spielberg. Steven Allen Spielberg was born on December 18th, 1946, in Cincinnati, Ohio. In 1974, Spielberg made his debut in a theatrical film, The Sugarland Express, about a married couple on the run, desperate to regain custody of their baby from foster parents. This film would also mark his first of many collaborations with composer John Williams. Spielberg's second major film, Jaws, won 3 Academy Awards, including Best Editing, Best Original Dramatic Score, and Best Sound Editing. Best Sound, and grossed $470 million worldwide. Spielberg received his first Best Director nomination for the film Close Encounters of the Third Kind, but won his first Best Director Oscar for the film Schindler's List in 1993. Cut to the 2010s, Spielberg directed films including The Adventure of Tintin, War Horse, Lincoln, Bridge of Spies, The BFG, The Post, Ready Player One, and of course West Side Story coming out on December 10th. Spielberg has won 3 Academy Awards. He received 7 nominations for Best Director and won twice for Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan. His third was Best Picture for Schindler's List.
Yeah, and just to add something about Jaws, and Jaws also coined the phrase blockbuster
It
because
did.
people were lined up around the block to see Jaws, and that's how we got the modern day blockbuster.
Yeah, that's a great point. Spielberg coined the term blockbuster films, which we use nowadays for a lot of comic book movies or big theatrical movies that a lot of people want to see. Um, so this spotlight is going to be probably a little shorter than usual because we got the history out of the way. So now we're going to just dive deep into more of our favorite movies from Spielberg, why we love them, and just kind of geek out on film at this point. So, Dan, I'll start with you. What are your favorite Spielberg movies, and why do they resonate with you in certain ways?
Well, I mean, like I said earlier, Steven Spielberg's my second favorite director of all time, and behind Martin Scorsese. And I grew up on Spielberg. I mean, I literally grew up on Spielberg movies. I mean, my family, we went to the drive-in theater. Oh my God, the drive-in theater. Yes, we went to the drive-in theater. We all packed in the car. We went to the drive-in theater. And one of the greatest experiences of my life when I was 7 years old was watching E.T. the extraterrestrial on a drive-in screen. And to this very day, I still believe that when Elliot was in that bicycle and ET was in that crate in that bicycle and he was lifted up and they were going up. They went right through the screen, right off into space. And I swear to you, it looked that way to me as a 7-year-old kid. And it's one of the greatest experiences of my lifetime growing up. And it's one of the things that really made me into a cinephile, a film pundit, a film lover growing up as a kid. But that was, I mean, like you said, Jaws. I mean, I watched Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I'm like, wow, this is some of the greatest stuff. I mean, the music is like, I mean, it just draws you in. The music of Indiana Jones from John Williams, you know. Um, And of course, The Color Purple, Hook, Schindler's List, Jurassic Park, uh, and another one that was a huge, that first 15, 20 minutes of Saving Private Ryan was, I mean, some of the most ridiculous. You're like, what the heck? You felt like you
Mhm.
were on Normandy Beach right there going through what Tom Hanks and all those guys were going through. And it was a pretty bloody, violent little 15, 20 minutes. And a lot of people said that 15, 20 minutes, whatever it was, made that movie. The rest of it, of course, was a good movie, but if it wasn't for that opening, you sit down, you get your popcorn, your soda, and then wham, everybody's getting killed. People are crawling around trying to survive when they just get off that boat. People getting nailed right on that boat. Then of course, the uh, the the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, of course, the T-Rex. But the guy wins an Academy Award for the first time for director for Schindler's List. And you say, why hasn't he won? Him and Martin Scorsese don't win Academy Awards for till they're way down their line in their filmography. And say, what the heck is going on in this world? There's something wrong in this world. These guys should have already won an Academy Award by now, But Schindler's List, oh, what a sad, sad story that is. That Oscar Schindler at the end, he says, "What's the matter? Why are you crying?" "Oh, because I could have saved more. I could have saved more." It just, I mean, everybody, Ralph Fiennes, Ben Kingsley, Liam Neeson, everybody in that film is just breathtaking. Another one, a more modern film, but it's another historical movie, Munich, about the killing of the Olympiads, and then get revenge on the people. Yeah.
Yep.
After the fact. But one of the things is everybody wanted to work with him. Like he had his little run with Tom Cruise. He's had off and on with Tom Hanks. Worked with Tom Hanks 4 or 5 times now.
Mhm.
The Post, Bridge of Spies, the Terminal, Saving Private Ryan. I don't know. I maybe there's another one in there I just can't remember. But that's at least 4 times that I can think of that he worked with Tom Hanks. But everybody wants
Catch
to
Me
work.
If You Can is another one.
Say that again.
Catch Me If You Can.
Catch Me If You Can. There you go. Catch Me If You Can. The collaboration between him and Leo. Oh man, that was fun.
Yep.
Christopher Walken is he's great as the father in it. But I mean Spielberg. I would say Spielberg. If Scorsese wasn't my personal favorite director, I would say the greatest living director alive today is Steven Spielberg. His filmography is just, I mean, it's just so great. And one of the things, if you're a collector, Hunter, I don't know if you're a collector of physical media, but
Not really.
I am. If you go to look at the 4K medium of physical medium, he's got like 20 films on 4K. My main man Scorsese, 4. So it just tells you his stuff is. It doesn't matter if it's Blu-ray, DVD, 4K, the big screen. His films are just able to be seen by the masses, no matter what format it is. If it's on your TV, if it's on the big screen, whereas Blu-ray, DVD, 4K, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He just puts out such great films that they're easily to translate into many different formats, and you could sit down on your couch at home and still be at home watching a Spielberg film, E.T. or Jaws or whatever. I mean, shut the lights off and turn it dark, and you're watching Jaws, and you're getting scared. You don't want to go in the water, But yeah, I mean, Spielberg is, I mean, he's one of the greatest of all time, if not in the top 5 or whatever, great filmmakers of all time. And he's my number 2 because I'm just happen to be a bigger fan of Martin Scorsese. But I'm always looking forward to the next Spielberg film. And West Side Story was a very good adaptation of that 1961 Best Picture winner. He added things to it and changed a few little things to make it more a little bit more interesting. And and that's what makes it very good. I mean, I don't think it's the greatest thing Spielberg's ever done, but it's very good. And I mean, he's always wanted to do a musical. I wish he would have just picked something original, something that never had been done before. But he decided to remake West Side Story, so there you go.
Yeah. I know a lot of people are saying that while West Side Story is a great movie, they wish it was more original. But like my thought about that is, yes, it's a remake of the 1961 movie, but really it's more of an adaptation of the stage play itself over the 1961 movie. So that's taken the stage play musical and adding his adaptation to it, which is why I'm more intrigued to see what he does with that. um so I'm not sure if you answered this question or not, and maybe you did in your monologue, but what is your, like, if you had to pick one Spielberg movie as your favorite of all time, which one would it be?
Oh, it's E.T. the
E.T.?
Extraterrestrial because of that experience I had as a 7-year-old
Yeah.
watching that on the drive-in theater. I will always I will always will remember that experience as a child, and I will take it with me the rest of my life. And it's one of the great experiences of my lifetime. You know, you could be a poor person, or you could be a child, or you could be down in your luck, and you can watch a Spielberg film like E.T. and you can have that experience. That existential experience where you're just brought into this new world, this world of Spielberg, whatever it may be, whether it's Jaws or E.T. or Schindler's List or Jurassic Park or Saving Private Ryan or whatever it is, Hook, or and you're just transported into that world, and that's one of the things that Spielberg does. And at that time, I resonated with Elliot. I did, I just a 7-year-old kid, and he was the little kid,
Yeah.
finally, and then what they were trying to do to Elliot, to ET and stuff. It was just, I mean, a lot of people, it doesn't hold. They say it doesn't hold up. Well, I disagree. And they changed a couple things.
Hmm.
There's a couple things they changed in it with other physical media
Yeah.
entries, like if like Blu-ray or 4K, they've changed some of the what happened in it or whatever. But I have that memory in my head as a child, and ET will always be my number one. And obviously, like Schindler's List, Saving
Hmm.
Private Ryan, Jurassic Park, Jaws, they're all in my top 5. So
Yeah. So my personal favorite, and this is again because it hit me at the right time, and it's a movie that I watched recently, like I think a year or two ago, and like the first time I saw it on the big screen because they were replaying it during the pandemic era at my theaters because they were playing older movies. I got to see Jurassic Park in the theaters for the first time, and that really solidified that movie as one of my all-time favorite Spielberg movies because it gives you everything. It gives you a broad spectrum of comedy, of drama, of horror, of suspenseful scenes, of just this this land of wonder, especially when they all enter the gates for the first time and you see all the dinosaurs walking around and you see the music by John Williams, the score rise up, and it's so good, so fantastic.
yeah, it's one of the all-time greatest movies, but also one of the all-time iconic scores. That
Yes.
Jurassic Park score is amazing.
Yeah. And I will say probably one of my um most watched Spielberg movies, especially recently, is Ready Player One, surprisingly.
Yeah, well, I will tell you, I have a kind of a love-hate relationship with Ready Player One, and I'll tell you the reason why, Hunter. I read the book, and
Yeah.
the book is incredible, and I wanted to see that book brought to the screen. But the problem is Warner Brothers didn't have the rights to everything in that book.
Yeah.
So
There was no way they could get rights to like the WWF, for example.
they changed things like the game. Like there's a video game segment in the book, a really like awesome, I mean, piece of the book is like this video game, and I can't think of the name of the game now, right off the top of my head. And they change it, and it's a different game in the book, in the movie. And then there's a couple other things that they change in, like they added the giant from the giant from the animated movie,
The Iron Giant.
Iron Giant. They add him. He wasn't in the book, but Warner Brothers had the rights to him, so all right, we'll just make him one of the avatars or whatever, the giant avatars or whatever. And there's little things like that. The Shining.
I love that scene.
That wasn't part of the book.
I know.
Something else. So I mean, that's why that's a lot of people will tell you, Hunter, don't read the books because it'll spoil the movie for you. Well, I guess it did that for me because I love that book so much. I even got the sequel, and the sequel was very good as well. But I mean, what that movie is very good. I don't take anything away from Ready Player One. Mm-hmm. I think Spielberg did what he could do with what he had to work with, considering what he had to work with, and he did a very good job. So I do not take anything away from what he accomplished with the film. I guess it just spoiled me because I read the book,
Yeah, see, I haven't read the book. I know of some chapters from the book. So I walked into it pretty much blind. Like I knew the overall story of it, but that's probably why I enjoyed it so much, is because I didn't have the book in my head already. And I went in there and I saw it in theaters, and I had just a blast seeing all the references and seeing the Shining scene was one of my favorite scenes of that year, the entire year, because I'm a huge Shining fan. So seeing how they take that and twist it with the characters, and how you got the room 237 scene was amazing. The elevator full of blood coming down, just all the references and all the core story I really loved about, we spend so much time on technology that it's maybe a good thing to live in the real world for once, for a change, instead of just living in this fake world.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I mean, it's such an interesting world that he creates, that they create, the author creates, and then Steven Spielberg adapts. I mean, if anybody could have adapted that book as faithfully as it could be, it was going to be Steven Spielberg. And I think he did as good as he could possibly do with that material. And what it, and I like Ty Sheridan. I literally just saw Ty Sheridan this past week in another movie called The Tender Bar. And of course, I saw him a little earlier this year in The Card Counter. So I like him as an actor, and I like Olivia Cook she's another one. I love Olivia Cook.
Yeah, she's so good.
You're a big horror guy. So she pops up in some horror movies every once in a while,
Really? I didn't know that.
Oculus.
She was an Oculus. Yep.
And she's in a couple other ones, and I can't off the top of my head say what they are, but yeah, I love Olivia Cook.
Yeah, and then you got Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah, Mendelsohn. What a great villain he plays.
Yeah. You have T.J. Miller as IROC, Simon Pegg as the curator. Just like a huge cast, a great cast. So that's one thing I've noticed about Spielberg. No matter what decade you go into, you'll find one movie by Spielberg that you'll love.
Yeah, I mean,
there's not one decade where he just makes nothing but bad movies.
Yeah, you go look at his every decade since the 70s. He's got 5, 6, 7, 8 movies a decade. Some years he's got 2 movies in a year. He literally had Schindler's List and Jurassic Park in 1993.
Yeah,
he wins Best Director and Best Picture the same year he wins the box office with Jurassic Park. And I mean, it's like, and he has a CGI fest in Jurassic Park, and has the most character kind of depressing kind of
character drama
with Schindler's List,
Yep.
So he's done it all, and it's crazy to think about the amount of films in his filmography and all the different types of films and actors and people he's worked with.
Yeah. And like another thing, as you said, the people he worked with, I mean, he's worked with the who's who, like the A+ list, like Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hanks, you
Robin
just
Williams,
Robin Williams, you can just name like
Richard
every
Dreyfuss.
Richard Dreyfuss, like all the A-list actors have Harrison Ford have worked with Spielberg at one point or another.
And we're getting probably the last Indiana Jones.
Oh goodness.
I think we're gonna get the last Indiana Jones, and this will be the fifth Indiana
one
Jones that he's directed. This is his franchise. A lot of directors, they have their franchise. A lot of actors have their franchise. Yep. We're gonna get one more Indy with Harrison Ford and Steven Spielberg. Let's see what.
Please give us the first three and not the fourth one. That's all I hope for.
No, I'm a big fan of the first one and the third one, and I'll go Raiders, Last Crusade, Temple of Doom, then Crystal Skull. That's how I rank them.
Yeah. I'm probably the same as you when it comes to that ranking. Yeah, so back a little bit to, you said that Spielberg was your second favorite director because Scorsese was your first. See, I'm in the same position, except I change out my number one director. So my number two is Spielberg. My number one is Quentin Tarantino, which we will definitely talk about in a future episode. But yeah, Spielberg is always in my top two, and him and Tarantino flip-flop every single day. So it's constantly, Spielberg 1, Tarantino 2, and then they flip. All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we head out?
Yeah, no, I mean, just look, if you're a young movie fan, if you're in your teens or whatever, and you haven't really got into movies that well, I always say just pick somebody like a Spielberg and just go through his filmography one by one by one. If you're watching West Side Story and you love that movie and you want to say, oh man, I love this movie, I want to see more Spielberg, I recommend just going through and just watching his filmography one by one by one, going back to the 1970s and starting out and watch. Then he's the perfect director to where you can watch all his movies one by one by one. Then you can branch off and do Tom Cruise, do Tom Hanks, do Robin Williams, do Harrison Ford,
do Leonardo DiCaprio.
Do Leonardo DiCaprio. And that'll get you in your wings spread as far as being a film fan, a cinephile. And that, I think Spielberg's the perfect director to do that with. And I cannot say enough about what an amazing, amazing director this man is. And I will continue to watch his films, and I will continue to go back and rewatch older films like Jaws and E.T. and Indiana Jones and Hook and Schindler's List and Jurassic Park and Saving Private Ryan on various occasions during different times of the year. Certain times of the year, like 4th of July, I always watch war movies, so I'll go check out Saving Private Ryan. The summer, when it's the summer, I always try to go back, go to Amity Island and check out Jaws. And then a lot of times, if a new physical media comes in, I will buy that and I'll watch it because I want to see that new film, like I did the Indiana Jones box set last June. So I just recommend anybody that's a fan of movie, or you're just getting into movies, or Spielberg's the perfect director to take it one at a time and then branch off into other things. You can branch off into fantasy. You can branch off into horror. You can branch off into war. You can branch off into action adventure. This because he's done all the genres now. That he hasn't done a Western, but he's done a musical now. So I mean, maybe.
And who knows? A Spielberg Western could happen eventually.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would love to see Spielberg do a Western.
That would be amazing.
Hope it's not a remake like West Side Story, but I mean, it's another whole ball of wax there,
So, let's end it here with the actual spotlight portion. So, as you said, if someone is new getting into movies, what top 5 Spielberg movies would you spotlight for them to watch first? You can do them in order. You can do them in any other order you want.
Well, because my number one was E.T., I think if you watch that movie and if you walk away from E.T. the extraterrestrial and you're not like blown away by the music, the wonder, the whole atmosphere of E.T., then you're just not going to want to watch any more Spielberg films, or you're not going to want to watch movies in general. So I would say E.T., then go to the 70s and watch Jaws, and then you're going to want to watch Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then you probably want to do a double feature from 1993 and go with Jurassic Park and Schindler's List. Those 5 right there. If you're going to start off with 5 films, I think those are the 5 you want to start off with.
Yeah, see, I got a pretty similar list. So I would probably go Jaws, E.T., Jurassic Park, and then I'd probably go something lighter, like maybe a Ready Player One, just because it's light enough to get into and you can enjoy all the references and stuff, especially if you're wanting to get into films, and this is a good jumping off point. And then I would probably do something like probably Saving Private Ryan if you're into war films. So that'd be my spotlight of the top 5.
Well, that first 15, 20 minutes of Saving Private Ryan is some of the best war you'll ever see in any movie before or after. I mean, I don't think anybody's ever done war like that before.
No. And see, I would put Schindler's List on there. I just haven't seen it personally. And I also feel like if you're getting into film, you want something kind of lighter to start off with. And Schindler's List would probably put you off if you try to watch it first.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, his dramatic fare that really makes you think about life and think about the world as we know it, like The Color Purple, Schindler's List, Munich. These movies are just things that are gonna make you, like, when you're going to work, when you're sitting down at the dinner table, when you're going to school, you're going to be thinking about these movies for days afterwards, because they really are very, very
thought-provoking.
They really are. And that's what Spielberg does. He'll bring you to some weird 1940s adventure where guys running around on tanks fighting the Nazis, or then he'll do a thought-provoking thing, or he'll bring you some far-off world in Ready Player One. I mean, he does it all. It's just incredible. Even with Hook, he brings you back to that whole world of Peter Pan and Hook and all that. I mean, the guy. I mean, I don't see him stopping anytime soon, Hunter, and I just can't. I mean, obviously, we're getting the next thing is going to be the 5th Indiana Jones, but I couldn't even sit here and tell you what he could do next after that, what he would do, what he wouldn't do. I mean, it's just he's done even like the Post, about the Washington Post around the whole Nixon Watergate scale. It's kind of like a side piece to All the President's Men with Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman. It's
and then he's done stuff like The Adventures of Tintin.
Yeah. Well, Peter Jackson was supposed to do the sequel, and we never got the sequel because the first one didn't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So we never got the sequels. And I'm like, dang, Peter Jackson, I wanted your Tintin movie, your sequel.
But like the fact that in like the decade of the 2010s, he did like 2 children's films for The Adventures of Tintin and BFG. He did War Horse, which is more of a dramatic role. He did Lincoln, Bridge of
What about
Spies,
Lincoln?
Post.
I forgot about Lincoln.
Yep.
I forgot about Lincoln. He does one of the greatest biopics of all
Yep.
time. And Lincoln with the probably arguably the
Daniel
greatest
Day-Lewis.
actor of all time, Daniel Day-Lewis. I completely forgot about Lincoln, Hunter. That just tells you how many movies this guy has in his filmography. It's just crazy.
Yep. And what's really weird is he is 74 years old and still pumping out great movies.
Yeah.
That's insane.
He really is. I mean, the praise for West Side Story is fantastic. I'm glad, but I think it's just going to die down a little bit here in the weeks after it comes out and everybody starts to see it. I just don't think it's the best Spielberg, but it's very good. It's actually, I believe this West Side Story is better than the original. And that's
wow.
But you got to remember that one came out in 1961, and there was things about it that just weren't very cinematic. This version is much more cinematic, and that same role of played by Rita Moreno, the girl that Ariana DeBose or whatever her name is, plays that role in this. She's amazing in it. That is the role in that play. If you watch the original, you'll see Rita Moreno, and then you'll see the girl in this, and you're like, oh my God, that is really the role in this movie because she is killing it. This Ariana DeBose girl, and she's not even the main character. It's I can't think of the other girl's name right off the top of my head, but and don't go in thinking, oh, there's controversy because of Ansel Elgort. Just watch the movie for what it is.
I don't even focus on a lot of controversy, so I don't even know what the controversy is at this point.
Yeah, he is a controversy with Ansel Elgort and his old girlfriend and stuff like that. So, but a lot of people, I hate it when we can't put that aside. We think about that when we're watching this and that and the other, And I'm on another I do a podcast called Gone with the Wind, and we had this discussion. And some of the people like, well, I can't not think about it, because I'm a baseball fan, I'm a sports fan, that, Hunter.
Yeah.
And like Pete Rose, for instance, I can put the fact that Pete Rose bet on baseball as a manager of the Cincinnati Reds over here because of what his accomplishments were on the field as an actual baseball player for the Reds in the field. To me, overshadow that he bet on the game 30 years later after he stopped playing. Elgort had something going on with his girlfriend, and it was, I don't know, it was one of those Me Too moment things where a lot of people are being caught up in that Me Too moment. And I look at him as an actor, and I can overshadow that stuff. I don't need to think about all that. That's just me.
Yeah, see, with me, it really depends on what did the person do and how extreme is it. Like, for example, and we're kind of going off topic here for the last few minutes, but the director of the Jeepers Creepers movies, Victor Salvi, I'll never watch those movies because of what he did.
Yeah. A lot of people, the same thing. A lot of people are the same way with
Roman Polanski,
Woody Allen. Will not watch Woody Allen movies. Will not watch Roman Polanski movies. So I understand this. Everybody's got, look, we live in a free country. You have a right to do whatever the heck you want to do. If you don't want to watch their movies because you can't get past that, then, oh well, But I just say, just don't worry about Ansel Elgort. Just watch the movie. That's what I would say,
So again, guys, we are doing this because of West Side Story coming out December 10th. I'm definitely excited for it. Hope you guys go out and see and support this movie. Steven Spielberg is one of the greatest directors of all time. Dan, where can people find you online?
You can find me at disappointmentmedia.com, where I'm a film critic in the Orlando, Florida area. Also, I do a podcast every week called Gone with the Wind, and you can find that on Take 3 Productions. Also, I do a couple YouTube. They're on hiatus right now, Top 5 Weekly and Bleacher Features, where I think Hunter, did you? Yeah, you did. Hunter
The wrestler.
did the wrestler with me. I
Yeah.
didn't want to say it if you you did do the wrestler with me. Also, Dan Skip Allen on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. And my own blog from the fourth row.wordpress.com. So where I'm not writing for disappointmentmedia.com, I'm writing on my own blog from the fourth row.wordpress.com. So it's a lot of places you can find my work or find me. I'm all over the place.
There you go. All right, guys, if you did enjoy this podcast, please remember to rate it. Check it out on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere where you can find your podcast. This has been Superstar Spotlight, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.